Today's lesson is for my beginner buddies out there, and we are going to talk about why something like this is really just the same thing as this. It's called chord inversions, and I'm going to teach you all about that today, and welcome to Music with Marky. So what is a chord inversion, and why would you even want to learn it? Well, maybe you've been playing for a little bit now, and you've been playing your open chords, and you get to the point where you get a little bit bored of playing the same chords over and over. Some people grab for a capo and start moving up and down the neck just to make things different or play in different keys, and they start learning some ways to variate the chords. But what we're going to talk about today is a specific technique called a chord inversion, and it is very simple. It's just a way of playing the chord notes out of order. And it kind of requires that you know a little bit about how chords are built. I do have lessons on major and minor chords and theory like that. I'll link one of them up here, but we're not going to get heavy into that because this is for beginners. So let's just take a look at the basic C major chord, and we'll talk about how you would build the inversions off of it and how you can do kind of what I did in the beginning there to play something a little more interesting or at least different so that you're not always playing the same thing. So if we look at a basic C major chord that you play in the first position here, the only notes that are in the chord, even though you're playing 5 notes on 5 strings, there's only 3 notes in the chord. You have C's, this is an E, this open note is a G, then you're back to a C again, and you have another E. And that is because when you build chords, they are made up of the first, the third, and the fifth in the scale. So if you take a C major scale, you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B. No sharps, no flats. And so you can also give those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you're back to the root, the octave there. So you build the chord, it's the first, skip the second, go to the third, the E, skip the fourth, go to the fifth, and you have the G. So C's, E's, and G's. Well, when you play this chord, you did the first, the third, and the fifth, just like an arpeggio there, right in order. But you don't have to play them in order. You can instead start with the third and go third, fifth, first. Now right here in the first position, we're not really variating much. It's not as interesting as what we were trying to talk about in the beginning, but you can take this. Let's say we're building all of the chords on the A string here, on the 5th string. I can take that inversion and do it in that same order, E, G, C, but find the E note on the A string, which is up here on the 7th fret. Then I'm looking for a G on the next string, which is here on the 5th fret. And then the C is right there. That's the first inversion of the chord. So one way to name that chord when I play it is first inversion of a C chord. And there's some technical terms for the way you can put like numbers next to the chord. That's not for this lesson for beginners here. I'm just teaching you the basic concept. Now that's just the first inversion. That is, if we go 3, 5, 1, we can also go 5, 1, 3. We can go the next level up. So we have the G, the C, and the E. So it's 5, back to the 1 again, and then the 3. We're repeating there. And again, if we're staying with the theme of building it on the 5th string here, I'm going to look for that G note on the A string, which is over here on the 10th fret. And then my next note was a C right here on the next string, on the 4th string, and then the E, like we used in the example. And if you're astute and you've been using some bar chords, you'll notice that it's just part of that C bar chord that you could play way up here on the 8th fret. They're all C chords, they're just inversions of the chord. So this explains to you what inversions are, where they come from, kind of how they're built. What we did there was just a basic C major inversion. There's also minor chord inversions, and you don't want to have to deconstruct every chord you're doing. It's better if you remember kind of patterns and where to play them, just like how you remember chords. And this is just the intro lesson on inversions where I'm introducing what the concept is. I will do a second lesson. One other thing I want to point out here is that the logic of this, the understanding what notes are in your chords, is really important, and also then understanding what notes are on the fretboard. And there's a lot of charts and things out there you can learn, and there's some tricks for finding your way around the neck. One more link I'll give you. I have a trick for doing that. And it's good to just have this in your head, this whole concept of understanding the notes and the chords, so that you can kind of just build chords anywhere on the neck you want when you're getting bored and you want to write stuff that's more complicated. Understanding that you have C's, E's, and G's in that C major chord, you can build any variation of that and create your own inversions in a way. I could take something like here and play the C on the D string, go to this open G, then have a C on the B string, and the E on the E string, the octave. It's an interesting voicing of the chord, and I could start building song ideas around voicings that are not just the same old boring thing. So there's your introduction to the inversions, and again, we can explore it further, or we're going to explore it further if you want to do that. I hope you got an understanding of this now, and the basic idea of a first inversion and a second inversion makes sense to you, and it's not a confusing, weird thing that's just kind of out there anymore. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comments section below. I get back to everybody as soon as I can. And until next time, guys, keep making great music.
Hey friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes the whole world better.